The first light of dawn crept over the high walls of the palace grounds, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and gold. Malik stood at the edge of the firing line, his polished black boots planted firmly on the smooth concrete. He wore the crisp, dark green uniform of the Royal Guard, every crease in place, every button shining. His posture was straight and steady, the years of training etched into his bones. Around him, the air was cool and still, broken only by the distant call of a morning bird and the soft hum of the world waking up. Malik's rifle rested in his strong hands. He raised it with practiced ease, lining up the simple silhouette targets downrange. He took a deep breath, felt the cool metal against his cheek, and gently squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out, echoing against the tall brick walls. One by one, the bullets thudded into the paper targets, each hole crisp and precise. Malik could feel the rhythm in his chest, the steady thump of his heartbeat setting the pace. He exhaled slowly, centering himself for the next shot. He had been a Royal Guard for 8 years. In that time he had learned to move without waste, to breathe without noise, to see without blink. Every morning, before the sun climbed too high, he came here to practice. It was more than duty, it was a ritual. He believed that by sharpening his body and mind, he honored the monarch he served and the people who depended on him. The range was his sanctuary, a place where everything fell away except the moment of focus and the sound of his own breath. Today felt different. Malik sensed a shift in the air, a tension beneath the calm. He glanced over his shoulder and saw a small convoy of black SUVs rolled through the gate off to his left. The palace sentries snapped to attention as they passed. Malik lowered his rifle and stepped back, wiping his hands on a clean cloth. He recognized the emblem on one of the SUVs, the American flag flanked by a silver trident, Navy SEALs. He straightened at once, heart steady but alert. He had heard rumors that a team of U.S. Navy SEALs would visit for joint training exercises, but seeing the vehicles arrive made it real. Malik had trained alongside foreign special forces only once before, and the memory stirred a mix of pride and nervous excitement. These men were legends, the elite of the elite, and soon he would stand beside them on this same line. As the SEAL team climbed out of the SUVs, Malik studied them. They wore black tactical gear, helmets under one arm, rifles slung at ease across their chests. Their bodies moved with confidence, each man fitting into a silent pattern of efficiency. Malik sensed their respect for routine, for order, and he felt a spark of connection. Though their missions might differ, they shared a commitment to skill. An Honor Captain Davis stepped forward, a tall man with broad shoulders and a calm, focused gaze. His eyes swept the line of guards and then settled on Malik. The captain offered a curt nod, a greeting, and an acknowledgement of Malik's presence. Malik returned the nod, careful not to break his poise. He watched as the SEALs formed a line. A few meters downrange, rifles pointed at targets identical to his. The instructors called out the first drill, 3 rounds in 10 seconds. Malik raised his rifle again and fell into position, his long arms steady. He saw the timer hit 0 on a small digital screen, and then the green light glowed. Squeezed the trigger once, twice, 3 times. Prints on his target clustered. Neatly, he lowered his rifle and glanced to the side. The SEALs had already reloaded and done the same, their shots equally precise. The echo of metal on metal and the short bursts of gunfire filled the courtyard. Each shot was a conversation between soldier and weapon, a demonstration of training and trust. Malik moved through the drills with calm efficiency, matching each burst with his own. The SEALs worked as a team, passing quietly glances and nods. Malik felt the unspoken rhythm of their cooperation and found himself matching it naturally between drills. Malik stood at attention, rifle held across his chest. His uniform sleeve was rolled just above the elbow, a small concession to the morning sun. He watched Captain Davis speak quietly with his team, giving instructions and corrections, his voice low but firm. Malik noted the careful respect each SEAL showed their captain, a bond forged by shared challenges and demands. It reminded him of the bond he shared with his own unit back home, A sudden breeze drifted through the courtyard, lifting the hem of Malik's shirt. He resisted the urge to adjust it. He knew that even the smallest movement could betray a lack of discipline. As he stood motionless, he felt the soft brush of fabric against his skin and something else, a chill that had nothing to do with the wind. He realized that beneath the fabric, hidden from view, was the faint outline of a tattoo on his inner arm, pressed flat beneath the uniform. Despite his control, Malik's breath caught for a moment. He had chosen to honor his father with that tattoo, a personal memory he carried in secret. His father had served in an elite foreign unit decades ago, and had once stood on a dusty range much like this one. When his father fell in battle, the emblem became Malik's tribute. But in the strict hierarchy of palace service, any foreign allegiance was taboo. Guards often faced severe consequences for marks of loyalty. Beyond the crown, Malik's pulse steadied as he returned his focus to the drills. He would not let the presence of the CALs, or the risk of discovery, shake his concentration. The next exercise required precision under changing distances. Malik stepped forward, adjusted the rifle's scope to account for wind, and took aim at a new target 80 meters away. He pressed the trigger and watched the round hit dead center. He exhaled, momentarily closing his eyes in relief at his consistent performance. The drills continued in a sequence that tested speed, endurance, and aim. Malik flowed through them, his mind and body in harmony. Yet beneath his calm, an undercurrent of tension coursed through him. He wondered if the SEALs had noticed his sleeve riding slightly higher. He wondered if Captain Davis had caught sight of the ink beneath the cloth. Malik refused to let his fear show. He remained the picture of composure, the perfect guard. As the sun climbed higher, the courtyard grew warmer. Malik could feel the sweat beginning at his hairline. He pushed it aside with a quick shake of his head, careful not to disturb the rifle's alignment. The SEALs took a short break, gathering around their captain. Malik lowered his weapon and stepped back, giving them space. He kept his posture straight, gaze fixed on the ground just ahead of his boots. Captain Davis spoke again, this time addressing the instructors. His voice carried across the range, calm but commanding respect. Malik looked up and caught Davis's eye. In that moment, the captain's expression shifted. His brow creased, and he fell silent, as if wrestling with a sudden memory. Malik held his ground, unsure what had changed. A soft murmur rose among the SEALs, and they turned politely toward Malik. The captain hesitated, then nodded at Malik, an invitation to move closer. Malik took a single step forward, unsure of what came next. The wind stirred again, tugging at his uniform sleeve, and momentarily revealing the edge of the tattoo beneath. Captain Davis's eyes widened, just a fraction. Time seemed to slow as he recognized the emblem peeking from beneath Malik's arm. Malik felt the heat rise in his cheeks. He controlled his breathing, keeping every muscle still. The courtyard fell silent, except for the faint hum of distant palace life. For a heartbeat, neither man spoke. Then Captain Davis raised his hand in a subtle salute in acknowledgement of shared history unspoken, a recognition that crossed the boundaries of uniform and title. Malik felt something shift inside him. Relief, pride, and the first spark of a friendship that neither protocol nor distance could extinguish. And in that quiet moment on the morning range, two warriors from different worlds stood, connected by a hidden mark and a legacy of honor. Malik felt a quiet thrill as Captain Davis lowered his hand from that subtle salute. The morning sun shone warmer now, and the two men stood for a moment with an unspoken understanding between them. Malik allowed himself a small nod in return, before he stepped back to rejoin the line of royal guards. His heart still beat with a steady rhythm, but inside, he felt lighter. His secret had been acknowledged, not punished. The instructors called the next exercise. It was a timed relay. Each shooter would fire at 3 targets at increasing distances, then pass the weapon to the next teammate. Malik slid into position at the front of his line. Captain Davis and 2 other SEALs formed their own trio. Just a few meters away, Malik glanced at Davis. The captain's steady gaze met his, and for the first time, Malik noticed a half-smile tug at the corner of Davis's mouth. That simple gesture filled Malik with confidence. The timer beeped. Malik raised his rifle, sighted the nearest target at 50 meters, and fired. The bullet struck just above the bull's eye. He re-aimed at the 75-meter target and squeezed twice. Both rounds hit within inches of each other. With practiced ease, Malik racked the bolt, chambered a fresh round, and fired at the 100-meter silhouette. The rifle against his shoulder, but Malik absorbed the recoil. The shot landed squarely on target. He dropped the empty shell and offered the rifle to the next guard. Malik watched his teammate repeat the sequence. Then the relay moved along its line until the last guard sprinted forward to finish. Malik stepped aside, letting the SEAL team go. He saw Captain Davis run forward, breathe evenly, and fire. The captain's shots were fast and clean, each one a whisper of precision. Malik admired the way Davis worked, methodical yet fluid, as if every movement were rehearsed 1,000 times. When both teams finished, the instructors compared times. The SEALs edged ahead by only a few seconds. Malik felt a rush of pride for his own team. The Crown's guards had not fallen behind by much. Malik walked toward Davis, still holding his rifle. "Your team did well," he said quietly. His voice carried a respectful tone. "But we are close." Davis nodded, handing Malik's rifle back. "You did well," he said. "Your timing is tight. A little more speed on the second target, and you match us." Malik studied Davis's face. Heard approval there, but also a spark of challenge. Malik was used to strict rules, not to personal critiques. Yet, this felt different, encouragement rather than command. "Thank you," Malik replied. "We will train harder." Davis glanced at the line of guards behind Malik. "Your men are sharp," he said. "I see the same discipline here as in my own team. How long have you served?" 8 years, Malik answered. "Since I was 18. Davis's eyes flickered with interest. "You started young," he paused. "And you choose to remain a guard rather than joining a special unit?" Malik hesitated. Guards did not discuss alternatives openly, yet with Davis, he felt he could speak honestly. "Loyalty to my kingdom," he said simply. "And I wished to honor my father's memory." Davis's eyebrows rose. He hesitated, then asked softly, "Tell me about your father." Malik inhaled. He thought of the dusty training grounds overseas, the stories of his father's bravery, and the final mission where his father did not return. He remembered the day he covered his own tears as he watched the funeral flag fold. "He was a soldier in an elite unit abroad," Malik said. "He fought in a war far from home. He believed in serving something greater than oneself. I carried his emblem on my arm because he taught me honor." Davis studied Malik's face. "He must have been proud of you," he said. Malik shrugged. "I am proud to carry his memory," he said. "But I must serve my king." Davis nodded, his respect plain. He glanced at the tattoo's edge, peeking beneath Malik's rolled sleeve. "I recognize that emblem," Davis said. "Your father's unit, my team worked with them on a joint mission 5 years ago. They saved my friend's life." Words hit Malik like a sudden breeze. He felt a rush of emotion, pride, grief, and relief. "They saved many lives," he said. "It was my hero." Davis's expression softened. "Then your father lives on through you," he said. "Glad I met you, Malik." Malik inclined his head. In that moment, neither the palace rules nor the foreign uniform mattered. Two soldiers, bound by history, found each other on common ground. The instructors announced a new challenge, a simulated hostage scenario. Guards and SEALs would pair, off to rescue a civilian target down a narrow corridor. Malik's heart quickened. He had practiced this drill many times, but never with a SEAL. He approached Captain Davis. "Will you partner with me?" Malik asked. Davis looked surprised for a moment, then smiled. "I thought you'd never ask," he said. They moved to the starting line. The corridor was marked by wooden obstacles and false walls. At the far end, a mannequin in civilian clothes waited. Lights would flicker to simulate darkness. Malik and Davis stood back to back, waiting for the signal. The lights dimmed. Malik clicked on a small flashlight attached to his rifle. They began to move. Malik led, scanning corners with precision. He heard Davis's quiet footsteps behind him. When they reached the first wooden door, Malik signaled. Davis kicked it open. Inside, Malik covered the hallway while Davis swept with his weapon. They advanced in unison, Malik's breathing steady, Davis's movements smooth. The corridor narrowed and Malik crouched under a low beam. Davis slipped past him without pause. Malik felt the rush of air as Davis's vest brushed against him. He stayed calm, focused on the drill's flow. Sudden blackout plunged the corridor into near darkness. Luck's flashlight revealed a stack of crates ahead. He gestured, and Davis moved, sweeping the crates aside. Malik saw the mannequins, feet beneath. He raised his rifle, counted to 3, and swooped down to grab the hostage. Davis provided cover fire, discreetly blasting away a false barricade with blank rounds. The mannequin lay in Malik's arms. Malik bolted back down. The corridor, Davis at his side. They ran in perfect step. Malik felt the weight of the mannequin shift as he carried it, but he adjusted instantly. When they burst into the light at the end of the range, they had crossed the finish line in record time. Instructors blew whistles and shouted praise. Malik set the mannequin down gently. Davis patted him on the shoulder. "Nice work," he said. Malik looked into Davis's eyes and saw genuine respect. He returned the smile, feeling a bond strengthen. As they walked back to the firing line, Malik's fellow guards clapped him on the back. Davis's team offered nods and thumbs up. Malik felt a swell of pride, not just for his performance, but for the connection he had forged. He understood now that skill and honor transcended uniforms and borders. Later, as the sun climbed higher and the drills wound down, Malik and Davis found a quiet corner. They sat on a low stone wall, weapons resting on their laps. Malik offered Davis a small bottle of water. Davis accepted it gratefully. "Tell me more about your training," Davis said, taking a slow sip. "You move like a dancer with a rifle." Malik laughed softly. "The years of practice," he said, "but I want to learn from you. Your team's speed, your way of working together. We have much to gain." Davis looked thoughtful. "And I want to learn your discipline," he said. "Your calm under pressure that is rare, even among SEALs." They fell into easy conversation, sharing training stories, favorite drills, and lessons learned. Malik described the palace code of honor, the weight of responsibility he carried each day. Davis spoke of missions at sea, of the trust a SEAL places in his teammates when every second counts. As they talked, the rest of the participants gathered around, curious. Malik and Davis welcomed them into the circle, and soon guards and SEALs exchanged tips. One SEAL demonstrated a quick reloading trick. A Royal Guard showed a breathing exercise to steady aim. Laughter and friendly banter filled the air. In that moment, boundaries melted away. They were no longer guard or SEAL, foreigner or royal subject. They were soldiers, learning from one another, united by dedication and respect. Malik thought of his father's emblem, hidden beneath his sleeve. It felt right that it had been seen, that it had connected him to another warrior story. The afternoon sun shone down on the range as Malik and Davis led a joint debrief. Malik spoke of the palace's traditions, the importance of loyalty. Davis spoke of teamwork, of adapting. Under fire. Together, they outlined lessons for both teams to blend tradition with innovation, to respect rules without ignoring new ideas. As the session drew to a close, Malik felt a warmth in his chest. It had honored his father, served his king, and now had forged a bond with another soldier who understood the price of duty. The drills had been more than practice, they had been a bridge between worlds. Captain Davis clasped Malik's hand in a final salute as the SEALs prepared to leave. Malik returned the salute, the two men sharing a smile that needed no words. In that moment, Malik knew that this day would remain in his memory as more than a training exercise. It would be a story of respect, of discovery, and of the quiet power of a single tattoo to unite two hearts devoted to service. 2. He was 12 when Malik first learned the meaning of loyalty. The day began like any other in a small village by the sea. The sun rose pale and misty over the water, casting a silver path across the waves. Malik awoke early, eager to help. His father prepared fishing nets for the daily catch. His father, Captain Rashid, had served in a distant land long before settling here. Though the sea was calm now, Malik's mind often wandered to the stories of conflict and courage that his father told at night. That morning, Malik followed his father down to the shore. They worked in silence as the tide slipped away and left the sand cool under their bare feet. Malik handed rope to his father, who tied each knot with sure fingers. Though the work was simple, it felt important, a small piece of a larger purpose. Malik believed then that everything his father did carried meaning. Even mending nets was part of caring for others. At midday, they paused under a lone palm tree. Malik sat with his toes in the warm sand while his father lit a small fire to cook fish over coals. The smoky aroma rose in the air as the two ate in comfortable quiet. After they finished, Rashid reached into the pocket of his loose shirt and pulled out a small leather-bound journal. He handed it to Malik with a gentle smile. "This belonged to my best friend," his father said quietly. "He wore the same badge as I did. It reminds me of bravery and sacrifice." Malik opened the journal carefully. On its first page was a symbol, a silver trident entwined with waves. His father's unit emblem. Underneath, in faded ink, 3 words: honor, service, courage. Malik ran his finger over the emblem. He felt a spark in his chest, as if it belonged to him too. "Can I keep it?" he asked. His father's eyes softened. "One day," he said. "When you understand its weight." Malik nodded, his mind buzzing with curiosity. That night, after the lanterns were lit and the village grew still, Malik's father sat with him by the hearth. He told Malik stories of distant deserts and stormy seas, of missions carried out under moonlight, of friendships forged in danger. Malik listened, wide-eyed. He could almost feel the heat of the desert sun, the rumble of armored vehicles, the hush that fell when soldiers prepared for battle. Throughout the tales, his father spoke of his friend Andrew, a SEAL from afar away. Country Andrew had saved Rashid's life during an ambush, shielding him as enemy fire cracked around them. Rashid never forgot that moment. In gratitude, he vowed to honor the bond of service that stretched across nations. Malik realized then that his father's loyalty to his old unit was as strong as his loyalty to their new home. Over the next weeks, Malik could not shake the emblem from his thoughts. He spent his afternoons drawing it in the sand, tracing every curve and line. When the rains came and washed the sand smooth, Malik felt a pang of loss, wanted a permanent place to carry that symbol, to remember his father's stories daily. One evening, he found his father sharpening a small blade. "I want the emblem," Malik said softly. "I want to remember your friend, your unit, and what it means to serve." Rashid paused, then placed the blade down. He looked at Malik for a long moment, searching his young face. Finally, he nodded. "If you truly understand, then you are ready." He guided Malik's small hand to press the blade gently against his own skin. Malik's breath caught, but he did not flinch. 13 small pinpricks of crimson welled where the trident would go. Rashid worked carefully, using a traditional technique passed down in his family. He mixed ash from the fire with a powdered herb, creating a dark pigment. With shaking hands, Malik applied it to the fresh wounds. When he looked at his arm afterward, the silver trident glowed black against his skin. Malik stared at it in wonder. It felt heavy, but a leva promise he could not break. As the days passed, Malik's arm healed. The edges of the tattoo blurred slightly, but the shape stayed clear. He kept his uniform sleeves rolled down, hiding the ink from curious eyes. Continued his chores and his lessons, but now he carried his father's legacy on his skin. Every time he caught a glimpse of it in passing light, he felt the bond between him and his father. Between him and a service that transcended borders, years went by. Malik grew taller and stronger, and his skill with the rifle improved under his father's watchful eye. He learned to move silently, to read the wind and the weather, to trust his instincts. His father taught him not only the art of soldiering, but also the value of mercy and compassion. "A weapon," Rashid said, "is only as noble as the heart that holds it." When Malik turned 18, the palace recruiters came to the village. Dressed in fine uniforms and polished boots, they offered service to the crown, a chance to stand guard at the royal palace.
How?
Many young men dreamt of such honor. Malik listened politely but hesitated to speak. That night, he showed his father the recruiter's letter. "It calls me to serve the king," Malik said, "but I will carry your emblem always." Rashid smiled with pride. "Your loyalty is clear," he said. "You may wear 2 honors, one for the crown and one for my unit. But be careful. Palace has strict rules. Never let anyone see the tattoo." Malik nodded. He felt excitement and fear twisting together in his chest. He promised to be wise. The next morning, Malik said farewell to his family. His mother pressed a small cloth bundle into his hands. Inside were dates, nuts, and a letter of blessing. His younger sister wrapped her arms around his waist in a tight hug. Malik felt tears but held them back. He walked away with his head held high, trident hidden beneath his sleeve, future stretching out before him. At the palace gates, Malik knelt as he received his ceremonial sword and uniform. The monarch placed a hand on his shoulder, speaking words of welcome. Malik felt the weight of responsibility settle in his bones. He rose, his eyes bright with determination. Inside, his father's emblem beat with a steady pulse, a reminder of where he came from and who he had vowed to become. For years, Malik served with unwavering discipline. He learned the palace protocols, the guard formations, the ceremonial drills. He polished his boots until they shone like mirrors and kept his uniform perfect. Yet beneath the crisp fabric of his shirt lay a story few knew, a story of far-off deserts, of friendships tested by fire, and of a boy's promise to honor his father's memory. Each morning before drill, Malik traced the edge of his sleeve with a finger, feeling the slight rise where the ink lay. He closed his eyes and remembered the silver path on the sea, the hush before dawn, and his father's quiet hand on his shoulder. In those moments he gathered strength. He carried 2 heritages in one body, the heritage of a foreign special forces unit and the heritage of a royal guard. Both demanded service, both demanded loyalty. That hidden tattoo linked Malik to another world, a world of shared sacrifice and unspoken bonds. It reminded him why he stood guard at the range each day, why he honored the monarch he served, and why he was ready to face any trial without fear. When he rolled his sleeves up to train alongside the SEALs, the emblem beneath became more than an ink. It was a bridge between nations, a promise kept through sweat, blood, and courage. Now, as part of that dawn on the palace range, Malik felt his past and his present collide. In the cool air, with rifle in hand and the trident beneath his sleeve, he honored both his father's legacy and the crown's trust. And he knew that whatever lay ahead any drill, any challenge, he would meet it with the same steady heart that once held a boy's first glimpse of loyalty. As the midday sun dipped toward the western wall of the palace range, a hush fell over the courtyard. Malik and Captain Davis paused between drills, rifles lowered, their breath steady, but hearts still quick. The heat of the morning had given way to a softer warmth, and the shadows of high walls stretched long across the concrete. Around them, the SEAL team and the Royal Guards waited, sensing that something more than a routine exercise was unfolding. Captain Davis studied Malik's face, noting the calm focus in his dark eyes. Then his gaze drifted down to Malik's rolled-up sleeve, where a small sliver of ink peeked out. The captain's hand paused on his rifle strap. Malik felt the weight of that look intensed, though he kept his expression unchanged. He knew the emblem under his skin carried a story he had never shared in full, a legacy of service and sacrifice. Davis took a careful step forward. The murmurs among the troops softened into silence as everyone sensed the moment's gravity. "May I see your sleeve?" Davis asked quietly. Malik hesitated, then lifted his arm, the fabric sliding up to reveal the tattoo. The symbol was clear. A silver trident, entwined with waves, inked in dark lines that curved over Malik's forearm. The seal of a unit long disbanded, a memory that belonged half to myth and half to history. The courtyard air felt heavy. Malik held his breath. He had expected alarm, orders to conceal the mark, perhaps even punishment. But Davis simply stared for a beat, his expression unreadable. Then, slowly, the captain closed his eyes, and bowed. His head, Malik exhaled, relief and uncertainty mingling inside him. When Davis spoke again, his voice was low and steady. "That emblem saved my life." Around them, rifles lowered fully, rifles resting on hips as guards and SEALs alike gave them space. Malik's heart thundered. He had never heard of such a connection on this range, this far from the deserts and oceans where his father once fought. Davis recounted the memory in measured tones, a sand-blown battle in a distant land, months before Malik's birth. Enemy fighters had ambushed a team of SEALs and allied soldiers. Bullets had torn through the twilight, and Lieutenant Harper Davis's closest friend had fallen, bleeding in the dust. Malik's father, then a young officer from a foreign unit, had charged across the kill zone. He scooped Harper into his arms and carried him, cradling the injured man's weight straight through enemy fire. When they reached safety, Harper lived, thanks to that act of courage. Malik felt tears prick at his eyes, remembered his father's stories, but hearing the other side filled him with a new awe. His tattoo was no mere decoration. It was a living testament to a brave man he had loved and lost. Davis's next words made the courtyard seem stiller than ever. "I didn't know his name until now, but I carried his emblem in my heart." The captain reached out and touched the tattoo with reverent fingers, careful, almost gentle, as if afraid to damage a sacred relic. Malik stood motionless under the unblinking gaze of dozens of soldiers. Fear fluttered, but his pride swelled stronger. This moment, this recognition, bridged the gap between them. Royal Guard and SEAL commander. To warriors bound by the same act of selfless valor. Davis pulled back his hand, nodding once, soft but firm. "I am in your debt." For an instant, Malik could only nod in return. Then Davis straightened, lifting his rifle in a crisp salute. Malik returned it, standing taller than he had all morning. The salute held more meaning than any weapon could convey. Around them, guards and SEALs echoed the gesture in respect. The partnership born of competition transformed into genuine camaraderie. Davis lowered his rifle and beckoned Malik closer. They moved to the shaded edge of the firing line, rifles slung. The SEALs and Royal Guards gave them quiet space. Under the cooling stone arch, Davis crouched, touching the insignia once more. He asked questions in a hushed tone. Father had come to that desert, what bond he had shared with the SEALs, why Malik carried the mark so proudly. Malik spoke plainly, recounting the tales from his father's journal. The promises made beneath the palm tree at dawn, and the weight of two loyalties, one to his home, one to his father's unit. As the story unfolded, Davis listened, eyes shining with emotion. At times his jaw tightened, as though reliving the chaos of that battle. At others, a slow smile spread across his face, remembering a friend he thought lost forever. When Malik finished, silence settled around them again. Then Davis clasped Malik's shoulder. "You honor him well," he said. They rose together, eyes meeting in mutual respect. Behind them, the instructors cleared their throats gently, signaling the resumption of training. Malik and Davis returned to their positions, but the energy on the range had shifted. Every guard and SEAL knew they had witnessed something rare. The merging of two legacies in a single mark. The next drill was a long-range precision test, challenging shooters at 3 distances. Malik adjusted his scope, but his mind replayed the captain's words. "You honor him well." The first 5 shots flew true, each bullseye a silent salute to his father. The final target, at an unseen distance, blurred as Malik's. Sweat stung his eyes. He blinked, remembered the desert dust, and squeezed the trigger. The round struck just above the center, a near-perfect score. Davis leaned in and whispered, "Perfect aim." Malik let out a small laugh, his nerves settling. They traded grins before returning to their teams. Learning to work together had become instinctive, fueled by shared history rather than orders. After the drill, Davis called for a break. Under the shade of a palm near the entrance, he shared bottled water with Malik. They spoke of future training missions, of ways that Malik's background could strengthen cooperation between the Palace Guard and visiting forces. Davis proposed that Malik join him on a joint assignment to train local allies in marksmanship and tactics. An opportunity that thrilled Malik's sense of purpose. Malik hesitated only a moment before nodding. He would need formal approval, but the chance to carry his father's legacy forward, side by side with the SEAL commander, felt like destiny. He imagined teaching new recruits the lessons his father had taught him, that courage transcends borders, that loyalty binds friends across oceans, and that a symbol even hidden under a sleeve can change the course of lives. The rest of the afternoon passed in a haze of drills, moving targets, building simulations, timed obstacles. Malik and Davis coordinated with a wordless ease. Their every gesture seemed to echo the silent pact between them. When the final drill ended and the range fell silent, Malik dipped his head toward Davis, gratitude shining in his eyes. Davis placed a hand on Malik's arm, where the tattoo lay hidden once more under the uniform sleeve. "I'll make sure your superiors hear your story," he promised. "I'll come back." Malik watched as the SEAL commander gathered his team and prepared to leave. The black SUVs waited at the gate, engines idling like restless beasts. Malik stood at parade rest, a guard once more, but his posture held new pride. He had served his king today, but he had also honored his father's memory in a way no one else could. The tattoo under his sleeve remained hidden from all but one, yet it had become the doorway to an unbreakable bond. As the SUVs rolled away, Malik stood. In the lengthening shadows, he heard the roar of engines fade into the palace's calm hush. Then he turned and walked back inside, each step echoing with the promise of tomorrow's dawn. He would continue his duties, rigid, precise, unwavering, yet inside, his spirit soared. He had shown that true loyalty needs no words, only faith, courage, and the unshakable conviction that honor, once recognized, lights the path forward. The late afternoon sun cast a gentle glow over the palace courtyard as Malik stood at ease, rifle slung over his shoulder. The day's training had drawn to a close, but in his mind the lessons kept echoing: precision, trust, and the quiet power of a shared history. He felt the warmth of the stone beneath his boots and took a slow breath of the cooling air. Savoring the moment before the palace gates sealed for the night, Captain Davis approached from the direction of the gate, his black tactical bag slung. Low, he paused a respectful distance away, then inclined his head. Malik returned the gesture. All around, the royal guards and the visiting SEALs began packing their equipment, voices low and respectful of the late hour. The mood felt more like a farewell among brothers than a departure of foreign visitors. "I've arranged a formal request for you to join our next joint mission," Davis said, voice steady but warm. "It may take you overseas for a few weeks. Working with local units, are you willing to go?" Malik's heart leaped. This was more than an honor. It was a chance to carry forward his father's legacy in a real operation alongside the SEALs his father once saved. He thought of the trident on his arm and the promise he had made under that palm tree years ago. Malik nodded, keeping his expression. "Composed, I am honored and ready," he said. Davis offered a faint smile, one that held relief and pride. "Excellent. I'll send word to your superiors first thing tomorrow. You'll need their approval." Malik bowed his head in thanks. They walked together toward the ornate gates. Malik listening as Davis outlined the mission's purpose: training allied forces in marksmanship, building confidence, and fostering international cooperation. Malik imagined standing before new recruits, teaching them to hold a rifle with respect, to control their breathing, and to fire only when justice demanded it. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also the spark of excitement. At the gate, Davis turned and extended his hand. Malik clasped it firmly. "Thank you, Captain," Malik said, "for seeing beyond my uniform and honoring my father's memory." Davis's gaze softened. "No, Malik, thank you. Your story matters. It shows what true service looks like." They held the grip a moment longer, two warriors bound by respect. Behind Davis, the SEAL team slipped into the waiting SUVs. Engines rumbled softly as the vehicles prepared to leave. Malik stood at attention, rifle again in hand, though his posture no longer felt stiff. He felt grounded, connected to something greater than the palace walls. As the first SUV rolled forward, Davis caught Malik's eye and raised his hand in salute. Malik lifted his rifle and returned it, the gesture carrying more weight than any formal ceremony. The convoy moved at a slow, deliberate pace through the ornate gate. Malik watched until the last vehicle passed out of sight. Then he released his salute and lowered his rifle. The courtyard lay empty now, save for a few lingering guards gathering discarded targets and closing the range's gates. Malik exhaled in relief, his shoulders relaxing for the first time all day. He turned and walked back toward the palace halls. In the soft glow of lanterns, the corridors felt familiar, almost comforting. Yet Malik knew he had changed. He carried a new sense of purpose inside him, a promise to his father, to the SEAL commander, and to the crown he served. Every footstep echoed his dual heritage, the son of a foreign soldier and the royal guard of his homeland. Back in the guard barracks, Malik placed his rifle in its rack. The other guards nodded in greeting. Malik returned a polite nod but did not speak. His mind replayed the day, the drills, the recognition of his tattoo, the shared stories under the sun. He thought of his father teaching him at the shore, and of the promise made beneath that palm tree. All of it had led to this moment. The lanterns dimmed for curfew. Malik lay on his simple cot, eyes open and focused on the ceiling. The room was quiet, save for the soft snores of fellow guards. Malik's sleeve had been rolled down again, the tattoo hidden from view, but he could still feel its presence beneath the fabric. He placed a hand over the spot, fingertips brushing the cool cloth. In the silence, he whispered a silent promise: to honor his father, to serve his king, and to forge a path of unity between the two worlds. The next morning came quickly with its own calm ritual. Malik rose before dawn, washed his face with cold water, and dressed in his crisp uniform. The courtyard beyond the gates lay misty, just as it had on the day of his first drill with the SEALs. Malik walked with measured steps to the range, rifle case in hand. There, Captain Davis stood waiting near the firing line, dressed now in palace guard uniform for the morning's formal opening ceremony. Malik paused, surprised by the captain's gesture of solidarity. Davis gave him a small smile and gestured to a spot by his side. Malik joined him, both men standing tall as the monarch's herald sounded the start of the day. The two stood together, royal guard and SEAL commanders side by side, under the rising sun, a silent testament to friendship born of shared adversity and honor. After the brief ceremony, Davis leaned over and whispered, "Welcome back, partner." Malik felt warmth flood his chest. He nodded, then turned toward the awaiting drills. Around them, guards and SEALs exchanged respectful glances, ready to train as one unit. Malik stepped forward, rifle in hand. Every shot he fired a tribute to the past and a pledge to the future. In the months that followed, Malik traveled with Davis's team to remote regions. He taught recruits the steady art of marksmanship, blending his formal Royal Guard discipline with the agile tactics of a SEAL. He shared his father's journal stories, inspiring courage in young soldiers who had never heard of desert battles or distant seas. Each night, Malik and Davis would talk fireside, swapping tales of missions and memories, their bond growing stronger with every shared laugh and hard-earned lesson throughout it all. Malik's tattoo remained hidden beneath his uniform sleeves, a private emblem of loyalty that needed no display. It stayed with him like a quiet heartbeat, a reminder that true honor comes from actions, not from recognition. And every time he trained a new recruit or stood guard at the palace, he carried not only the weight of a crown's trust, but also the enduring legacy of his father's courage. And so, the story of the Royal Guard at the range and the sea. Commander who froze at the sight of a tattoo became more than a single moment in time. It became a tale of legacy crossing borders, of loyalty that transcends uniforms, and of the unbroken bond between two warriors linked by honor. In simple drills and silent salutes, Malik and Davis proved that when respect is earned and history is honored, even the strictest walls cannot divide brave hearts.